Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're checking out texture, and more specifically, I'm going to show you how I made this kick drum using texture. So obviously this is a pretty basic kick drum, but the cool thing about texture is you can get some really character-driven stuff quite easily and simply because of how many great noises it already has included inside of it. So texture is a synthesizer slash effect. You drop it on an audio channel and it listens to incoming audio envelopes and then synthesizes sound or gates sound that it has built inside of it to fit the envelope of the sound it's listening to. And you can use the mix knob to completely replace that sound or, mix in between the synthesized sound and the original sound. So along the way of creating the kick drum, hopefully we'll get a good understanding of what's possible inside of texture. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and delete everything because we're going to redo it together. And this is the bass sound that I have here for the kick. It's just in a very simple pattern here. All right, it's just essentially what would be called a kick layer. So it doesn't have any of the body of the kick. It's just essentially that attack transient with a little bit of noise on the end. And what we're gonna do is use texture to go ahead and make the body and also add a little bit of noise and maybe even some further character that I didn't do in the beginning. So that's how easy it is to use, and it's really inspiring. So if I come in here to texture and drop it on the track. So right now I'm digital white noise. And if I go ahead and the way I like to do it is turn up the mix knob to 100% wet, just so I can hear the noise that's being generated by texture before I go ahead and mix in the original sound. So this is the noise being added. And you'll notice that it's following the envelope of the original, except for that like crackling at the end. You can see it right here inside of the display. The gate is not getting caught by that, so it's not activating that. But if I turned it all the way down, you can see that it is activating it there. So for this particular part, I'm going to be focusing on the body of the kick. So I want to bring the gate up. So it's only going to be using that initial part. And then I can use the decay time down here to make it a little bit longer if I wanted to. So to change the sound, you come over here and just click right here, and you can see that there's over 300 different sounds. And some of them are, labeled percussion, for example. Or some of them are labeled hi-hats or experimental, and it's really great stuff, especially when you get into like the Foley and Walla stuff where you can add like sort of people talking in the background or birds chirping and stuff. But I'm going to leave that for a different tutorial. What I'm going to do is come into basic noise and come over here to sine oscillator. So this is just going to be your standard sine oscillator, right? If I go ahead and play it now. And it's a little bit crunchy because of the color, but if I turn that down, all right, we're only getting a little bit of a click there. So what I want to do is turn up the decay time. And the reason why we can't hear anything now is because of the filter. The filter's on by default. So what I want to do is either turn it off. So that's a pretty good body, or I can, kind of sculpt it towards the lower end of the spectrum. Something like that's pretty good. And now I can adjust the envelope here to make it a little bit better in terms of a body of a kick. So I'm going to turn the attack way down, because I want it to pretty much happen. Maybe up a little bit because the attack transient, maybe leave that a little bit of space. Hold is how long it's going to hold the sound, so the sine wave oscillator here. You can hear there, that's like an 808 kick. But I'm going to turn it down. I want it to be fairly quick because this isn't like a trap beat. This is a regular style kick drum. Something like that sounds pretty good. I could turn up the noise oscillator just so we can hear it a little bit better. So that sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and roll back the mix a little bit to see what it sounds like with that initial attack transient. If we bypass it. So we're already well on our way to something better. We have pitch control over the oscillator. We have the octave we can go up. maybe for bongos or something. And then we have that color knob that changes the timbre of the instrument. So I think that sounds pretty good. Now we also have a modulation controls inside of here. I just want to point it out. I'm not going to be using it for this video, but it is here. We have an LFO and an envelope modulation control, each with a set of parameters that are, easily enough to identify pitch, color, and cutoff, pitch, color, and cutoff for each of these. There's also an EQ, which I might use to boost up that lower end over here. Maybe change the filter type to peaking. And this is just EQing the noise oscillator. And then we can also EQ the original inside of here as well. The noise EQ is pretty much the same thing as the filter down here. So this is going to do nothing if my filter is all the way over here, but it's over here. So it is going to give it a little bit of boost down there. The reason why it's kind of doubled up is because the filter is always present. No matter what page you're on, it just makes things easier and quicker to get to. So for this original EQ, I might go ahead and turn on the high pass filter over here just to make sure we're not getting any, doubling up in these lower frequencies, which can cause mix issues. Maybe go 24. Cool. So I think that sounds pretty good, but what's really cool about this now is inside of Ableton Live, I can Control G to group this into an instrument or an audio effect rack and then drop another texture on here. These are going to run in parallel now, so this will still hear the original sound, not the altered sound with the actual sine oscillator on it. So what I can do for this one is go ahead and turn it 100% wet, and now just go ahead and add texture, get it, the name of the plugin, to this kick drum to my heart's content. And I'm actually going to start with this digital white noise, maybe around the midway here. So that's with it. You can see it's adding that extra bit of punch right there. That's perfect. If I want to go ahead and turn this off, that's what it's adding to the signal, and that's what I like. But again, what I can do is, duplicate it or drag another one in there, and then I've got 3 going at the same time, and I can come into something more exciting, a little bit more, I don't know, something like a vinyl crackle we can add to it. Again, I want to go mix 100% because I'm already getting the dry signal mixed in on this first one, so I don't want to double up on that. So on this one, I might want to turn that gate down to get those crackles at the end. Let's go ahead and solo that. And now we can turn up the decay. Let's try out something different, a different one. All right, so I can actually, let's use the filter to only get that higher content. Let's try something else. See what that sounds like together. So that's with it, without it. It's just adding that little extra bit. Even though there's already a little bit of that crackle in the original attack transient sample, this is adding a little bit more, and it's making it sound like it's got a fuller character. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and add texture, one more version of it inside of here. And let's add something like crowds or something. Let's see what this sounds like. We got that. That sounds cool. So this isn't really great for this particular kick, but something like a snare could really do well with having this light walla kind of fade out over time. So it sounds like just a little bit, you turn it way down so it sits in the background. It's just adding that little bit of extra, detail that really makes things stand out, and it sounds better. It sounds like you spent more time on your sound design, which, usually, as long as you don't go overboard, makes things sound better. That's how to get a kick drum started. What I'm going to do is go ahead and delete this last one because I was just showing you there. I'm going to close this, and that sounds pretty good. And the last thing I would do is come into the glue compressor, drop it on the channel, turn the attack time up pretty high so we're letting those transients pass by, turn down the threshold. And I like to turn on soft clipping. And we're getting about 5 dB here, so I can maybe turn up the makeup gain a little bit. So that's what with the glue. Without the glue. So you see we're getting a different sound, and it's sounding a little bit larger. Let's see what it sounds like in the context of, let's just say, the drum loops here. Let's come in. And now I can come in and still make any changes. And this was the cool thing about designing your own kicks. If this was a sample pack and I just had the kick ready, I don't have as much control over it. So I can come in and turn down the noise maybe. So we went from that to that. And it's got work to be done. If I come into dynamics, maybe turn up the decay time or the hold time. I think that's a definitely great start to something that is, under my complete control. And that's one of the big benefits of texture. I hope you learned something about texture and getting started with it. As I said, there are over 300 sound sources in there, so you can get quite a wide range of different things, different possibilities. There are a ton of presets in here as well. If I come in here, factory presets, look at all these presets. So really great plugin. It's available now on Plugin Boutique. I highly suggest checking it out. Links in the video description. I'm Joshua Casper here for Plugin Boutique, and I will see you in the next video.